G'day everyone, I'm Daniel. I just wanted to make a quick video just to walk you through a process of how we can analyze large data sets using non-code tools. In this example, we're going to be specifically looking at a large number of posts from Reddit. We're going to get a big data set of all these posts, and then we're going to save it in Google Sheets, and then we're going to use a tool called Julius AI to analyze all these number of posts and come up with themes and see how we can come up with like minimal viable products for the themes and the potential market gaps that we get out of Reddit. At the end of the day, this is very useful for any founder or co-founder that wants to validate their idea or that wants to validate their market gap for their ICP, for their initial customer profile. So feel free to use this, feel free to copy it, make it even better. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So we'll just jump into it. Okay, so we're building a tool that scans startup related posts on Reddit from the last 12 months to find like real unsolved problems, right? So we'll look for posts where founders complain about painful problems, they describe messy workarounds or hacks, or they say things like, oh, I wish there was like a tool that did X, Y, Z, right? And so really the goal is to spot patterns in these frustrations so that we can uncover true market gaps. So places where people clearly want a solution, but there's no good tool that exists yet, right? Okay, so first we start with n8n. So if you haven't used it, n8n is like Zapier. So it's just like a drag and drop platform. It lets you connect different web services together via API connections. And so it lets you organize different workflows and you can customize it towards whatever outcome you're after. So in this case, we'll be using it to automate search query via an API called to Reddit. And so we want to obtain posts that are relevant to startups and whatever startups are looking for. Within n8n, we're also going to be doing things like counting the number of comments per post to create like an engagement metric. We're going to be normalizing those numbers of data, which means that we want to make sure that the way that you organize the data and the way that you create average metrics around it is relevant to where that data is coming from, right? So that'll make sense a little bit more as we go through the demo. And then finally, after that, we save all that data onto a spreadsheet. Then we get that spreadsheet as an output from the n8n workflow, and then we upload it onto this platform called Julius, which is a really cool tool for doing more of that data analysis tasks. Things like putting things into themes and classifying data and understanding context and chunking text. So it enables you to organize this massive spreadsheet result into more coherent box themes, right? Which saves you a lot of time because you won't have to manually scan through all these 1,000 posts that we get back from Reddit. You'll just enable it to do it for you, and you can dig deeper into what seems to be what the market is actually talking about, right? And then finally, I've got like a two-step process workflow that I'll show you once we get to the Julius step. And so we start with n8n, right? So here we have a bunch of like all these little things called nodes. And so the first thing that you do is you put in a manual triggered node, which is your trigger point. So you can run this workflow whenever you click on it. And then after that, we drag and drop another code node. And so this code node is going to be using a little like JavaScript code snippet. And this is pretty key um, because remember how we said earlier that we're going to be searching on Reddit using language that shows pain points for startups. This is where we're going to be creating the list of keywords to search. So things like, does anyone know a good tool for this? Or is there a better way to do this? Or how do you guys handle such and such? And it's also where we declare which subreddits we're going to be searching through. So remember that we're going to be looking through pain points for the startup community, right? So they're going to be our ICP, our initial customer profile, right? So I've just picked like 9 or 10 different subreddits here that are relevant to startups. So things like literally startups, entrepreneur, SaaS, or like indie hackers. Overall, you don't really have to understand all these code syntax. And what I'll do is I'll attach a copy of this whole script and I'll put it on the description on YouTube, or you can pick me on LinkedIn, and I'll just send you it. Then after that, we plug it into this Reddit API node here on n8n, and so that's where you'll have to get your own Reddit credentials. So you'll have to link those Reddit credentials here into your workflow on n8n, so you can use your Reddit API. And then after we get all those different posts, so there's like 2,287 posts, what we want to do is we want to add another code node, which is going to run two main things. It's going to run a recency metric to prioritize things that are more closer to today's date. And we're also going to be setting up an engagement metric. We're going to be normalizing that metric to tell us for every post that we save onto our spreadsheet to count how many comments each post has, for it to be a relevant average to the number of comments and responses relevant to that subreddit where it came from. So that if we compare themes from different communities, things are a little bit more even, right? So again, you don't need to know the whole syntax of this code. I'll copy and paste it onto a link, and you'll just have access, and you just drag and drop into your own workflow. And then in the end, everything lands on your spreadsheet, right? So again, you gotta connect your Google Sheets account to n8n, and then everything gets saved into the spreadsheet that you save it into. Okay. And so all the data gets saved here into this spreadsheet. And I just got the actual title and the actual post text to be saved into this column called combined text. And as per the last code snippet, we also gave it a scoring around recency, and we've normalized the number of comments and the comments per day, and we gave it an overall weighted engagement metric. Okay, so remember how we said we're going to be using Julius AI? So that's the last step, right? So we save the spreadsheet that we just created, and then we upload it into Julius, and then we're just going to have two prompts. The first prompt is going to analyze like 10% or 15% of it. So I think I got like 1,000 different rows or posts from Reddit in the end, after we finished picking up only the last 12 months worth of. And I just picked like 100 of those, right? And I've asked Julius to analyze that first initial part and to create themes out of it. And then after that, we upload the whole rest of the file, right? So it's going to classify all those first 100 posts, create themes out of it. And then if everything looks okay, then we upload the rest of the 1,000 posts so you can classify it and put themes on the rest of the 1,000 posts. All right, cool. So I've just got all the results from Julie. So I'll just walk you through what I did step by step. So first thing I did was grab all the first 100 rows or the first 100 posts from the different subreddits from our Reddit analysis. And so yeah, so I grabbed the first 100. I've copy pasted that as a sample here on Julius, and then I've asked Julius to do like a theme analysis to put all those different rows and posts into different themes to find common language and to kind of define what is the common language between each different theme. So it's gone ahead and do that. It's using Python in the background to create all those different themes. And so you can see here it's working through that logic. So this does save you a lot of time to do that analysis. Okay. And based on that sample, the biggest one was around customer acquisition struggles. The second one was around technical build bottlenecks. And then the third one was around runway cash flow crisis, right? Okay. And the second thing that I asked it to do was to then use those themes and classifications that it's created from the first prompt and then assign the rest of the 1,000 different posts that we got from Reddit to assign all those 1,000 posts into different themes that it created from the first sample. Okay. So it's gone ahead and do that. And the biggest theme was customer acquisition struggles. The second one was around technical build bottlenecks. And then the third one was around runway cash flow crisis. And then on top of that, it's done a really cool thing where I've asked, hey, what are the opportunities for a minimal viable product? So the first one was around the opportunity was for customer acquisition struggles. That was the problem statement. And so it's gone ahead and created an opportunity here where the MVP could be a guided channel finder that ingests a founder's niche and product description and outputs a focused acquisition playbook. So the top one or two channels, messaging angles, a weekly outreach schedule plus templates for emails, DMs, and landing pages, which is great. That sounds pretty good. All right, and then the second one was the the second opportunity was the technical build bottleneck. So that was the second problem statement. And then it's created an opportunity where we could build a build buddy. And so it's an AI first technical co-pilot for non-technical founders that takes a plain English product spec and produces a technical architecture outline, stack recommendation, and a decomposed task list with acceptance criteria. That's great. I think as a business analyst or a product owner, you definitely find this very helpful. If you're going into that startup space and you're creating something and you're not really particularly technical. So that's amazing. And so it's gone ahead and done something really interesting here. It's picked the third one around a metric on pain rate. So the highest pain rate that we had was on solo founder burnout risk, which was 0.875. And that's based on the language that was being used, where people were talking about burning out. And it's gone ahead and prioritize that. And you can play around with these. You can also ask Julius AI to prioritize, for example, if you really want to look more at runway cash flow crisis, but it's up to you. But it's picked this one, which is really interesting. For the solo founder burnout risk, it's created a founder safety net. So basically, the MVP there would be a lightweight accountability and emotional support tool for solo founders. So it's pairing a weekly check-in ritual with a simple health metrics and peer one-on-ones, which I think is amazing. I think that's pretty cool. Um, there's definitely a lot of people that would find very good use of this. So that's cool. It's awesome. All right. I've also asked it to break down those. I thought that number was quite high. 505 post counts for customer acquisition struggles. I just wanted to break that into different sub themes, right? And it's gone ahead and done that. So the first one was around content, organic social, pricing and offer structure, cold outreach, and cold email. So these seem to be kind of like the sub themes where people are kind of asking for help or creating workarounds, which is interesting. So yeah. Cool. So that's pretty much it for today. All the scripts are going to be in the description, and use my referral code if you want to sign up for Julius AI, which is a really good tool, as you saw. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Ciao.